down to patience, acceptance, and humor. Patience was really about understanding that this wasn't just the flu I was getting over, and that I was going to have to take small steps to progress. And I have never been a patient person as an Italian, as a redhead. Patience is not really in my vernacular. But I had to learn that things were not going to go on my timeline. And that, again, progress and success had to be measured in small steps, one day at a time, tackling different things, learning what my limits are, what my boundaries were, and figuring out a way to get around them. Secondly, I had to learn acceptance. So at the beginning of my recovery, I was my own worst enemy with getting better because I kept trying to get back to the old me. I kept trying to get back to the old baseline. Well, I used to be really good at multitasking. Well, I used to be able to do this in less time. Well, I used to not be so over-emotional. And it wasn't until a therapist pointed out to me that I had to let that go. I had to let the old me go and realize that there was a new me. And that meant accepting what my deficits were now, and not just accepting them and sitting back and letting them wash over me, but accepting them and figuring out a way to get around them. And finally, the most important thing for us was humor. We had to find humor even in the darkest of the situations. And my family and friends, true to form, you know, they were cracking jokes. They were doing whatever they needed to do to handle the stress and handle the worry. And I think sometimes we get caught up in the appropriate way to respond to a crisis. And if humor and finding the light side of things helps you, if it helps you think clearly, and it helps you problem solve, and it helps you sort of get rid of the panic and the anxiety and the fear, then I say go for it. Find that humor, embrace it. I had a really good friend, Carrie, who was at my bedside most of the period that I was in ICU, and she's a gifted writer, way more gifted than I am. And she kept a journal while I was in ICU, so she captured a lot of those early days and kind of showed me both the very poignant parts, but also a lot of the humor that was going on around me. So one of the things that the doctors were doing, especially